And we are back, and we just finished watching 1991's One False Move, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 45 minutes. We caught this on the TCM app, and it's currently to buy rent on Prime Video. This comes to us from director Carl Franklin, with writing credit or screenwriting credits to Billy Bob Thornton and Tom Epperson. This is the story of Dale, played by the late great Bill Paxton, a small town chief of police who's been looped in about a multiple murder that happened in Los Angeles, with the suspects out on the run and possibly heading to Arkansas to Chief Dale's tiny town. This is my first time watching it and your first time watching it. What'd you think?
I thought it was good.
I mean, for 1991,
it definitely
dramatic.
It definitely, I could see why they had that particular guy from TCM hosting, because it definitely was like a modern noir movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't have like the look, the aesthetics of a noir movie. Mm-hmm. It looked very low budget 90s.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. But the elements were there, the femme fatale, the dangerous bad guys, the good guy who's
towing the line.
He's not, his hat isn't completely white. There's some dirt there. It had all those elements in it. The story was interesting in the way it was told, the way it was framed. Like they mentioned, that the antagonists are moving towards the protagonist.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around.
The other way around,
It's not really a hunt. It's just sort of like a waiting game.
What did you think? They also highlight the violence of the beginning of the story. I thought that was really well done.
That was really well done.
You don't see, but it's implied, and you sort of see the aftermath of what happened.
You do see some of it, but it's not gory.
Yeah, and it's not gratuitous.
It's not gory. It's not gratuitous.
It's in service of the story.
But you do see what's going on, and you do see that the Pluto character, there's definitely something up with him.
Yeah, he was the scariest guy.
Like Ray, Billy Bob, he was a vicious, brutish psycho.
Right.
Like you could see him being very cruel and just thuggish. Whereas Pluto, he was quiet and he was neat and he was the guy with the glasses. He was clean shaven. He looked presentable. He didn't look like a vicious murderer, but he was definitely the more capable, the more thoughtful, and he just did not feel anything. Like he had they pointed it out, the showing of the video while the murder is occurring, and that really sort of heightened the fact that this guy, there's something mentally wrong with Pluto.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sociopath.
He's an absolute sociopath, that he is just plunging this knife into this woman's belly while he has them hogtied, and he puts like a bag over their head,
like a pillowcase
over their head, and he's holding her so close while he's like repeatedly stabbing her. It's definitely something that he
enjoys.
Yeah, because he's clearly got it all. He's got it all worked out. He had those ropes ready, and he knew how to hogtie a person. So this probably wasn't the first time he did something like this.
Yeah, agreed.
And
what did we think of the Fantasia / Lila character?
That she was definitely like the femme fatale, because she sort of like danced on that line of, I'm good, no, I'm bad, I'm good, I don't really want to be in this situation.
Very poor choices.
She made absolutely poor choices. She was definitely, if she wasn't being led into something, she was doing something else that was questionable.
Yeah.
And
do you think that? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. And as you learn as the story progresses, it goes back even further.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
She's definitely, you feel a little bad for her.
Yes.
But there's a part in the story where it's just like, you did that.
Right.
You absolutely, you didn't have to do that, but you did it.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she could have actually gotten like out. I mean, she was going to go to jail no matter what.
Right.
But she could have ended it.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting too, because in that sequence, you know what? So even though this movie's from 91, I think we should try not to give stuff away, because I think that if you haven't seen it, it's more impactful, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there are elements of the story here that are kind of interesting, because kind of to your point, like you have sympathy for her and things are revealed within the story. And sometimes you wonder, like, okay, well, if her life had not gone down this path, could she possibly have been a different person?
I honestly think she could. I think if she had not gotten tangled up with Ray, she may have had a completely different life. I mean, she definitely would have had a different life.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the life you choose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think at one point I turned to you and I was like, she's beautiful. Why is she with Billy Bob Thornton? Like, he is a magnet. He gets the most beautiful women.
Yeah,
always.
he is like the poster child for punching above your weight class.
Seriously.
Like,
consistently.
What? Yeah.
Consistently.
What is going on?
I don't know. He must be hung like
He's got that James Bond transmitter in his pants. Like,
absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
What?
Don't get it.
It's like if you were going to make a human being to fit the name Billy Bob, it would be Billy Bob Thornton.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. He must be like, you've heard of people that are just charismatic. They're not very good looking, but they're just so charismatic.
He must be very charming.
Yeah. Yeah, that they just,
because
they're able to close the deal.
Hey, you know what?
There's hope for everyone.
He is an inspiration for anybody who looks in the mirror and is like, man, I wish I was better looking. Just
get
a little headshot of Billy Bob, slap it on the mirror, and be like, that guy had sex with Angelina Jolie
and Laura Dern. Beautiful women.
Yeah.
Beautiful women.
That guy's hooking up, and look at him.
Yeah, seriously. Good. He looks like, he's not like crawling out of a dumpster, bad looking.
No, there's worse looking people, but if you told me he spent his weekends huffing gasoline, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes. Okay, back to the story. So I'm laughing because it rings so true. But back to the story. I think that it's not the most impressive script, and there's not like these great camera angles or this really stellar script, but the performances are decent. Yeah. And in particular, Bill Paxton, he absolutely carries this film. I feel like this was a vehicle for him to just like really, and he comes out really great here, because I think at one point you and I were like, or maybe I turned to you and I was like, I don't know how to feel about Bill Paxton. I love him, but it's like, there's something weird going on here.
There was something off. And also he was playing this character who was just like, hey,
he was so extra.
He was like almost Barney Fife-ish, but in his enthusiasm for how he was doing his job, and he's living in this small town where it's sort of like, oh, Dale's threatening to kill his wife again. Yeah. All right, has he said he's going to kill her? Because otherwise, I don't want to go out there. And he's like, no, she's saying he's going to kill her, so I guess I got to go out there. Yeah. And he's just like wrestling a guy who's basically going to murder his wife with an axe. Yeah. And then afterwards, it's just like, it'll be okay. I come out here a couple of times a week.
That was hilarious.
Like, this is like small town. He knows everybody in that town.
Knows him.
Which is like, that kind of comes into play because it gives a little bit of believability to a certain story he tells later on, which you may not believe, and one of the characters doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, it really works out, and he does play that character well. Really well. I wouldn't say this is his best performance. No. Like this as far as that, like but if I was gonna single out a Bill Paxton performance that wasn't sort of I guess, a little bit more over the top. Like, I mean, I loved him in Aliens.
Yes.
But he is basically there for the lines.
Yes, absolutely.
I would probably go with Frailty.
He's excellent in
He's
that.
absolutely excellent in Frailties. No, scary, believable.
Yes.
Absolutely wonderful performance. This one, he's good. He's playing this part really well.
But in this, he is, for all intents and purposes, he is the main character because...
Yeah, those other two cops, you think maybe they're going to be the main character,
but no, but it becomes Dale.
It's Dale's story.
Film, yeah.
It's
Dale's story. And so...
Which is weird because he's introduced after everybody.
Right. And like this big major event happens in the beginning and you don't see himself. And also... Bill Paxton, the actor, he's not usually like the main guy. He's usually like a side character. He's always like the support. I mean, like in Twister, obviously he's the main, but like for the most part, I feel like in his career, he was always that go-to, I guess, character actor. Although I don't think of him as a character actor. But I guess that's what he was.
He's definitely his bread and butter was being a character actor.
Yeah.
As far as being
he was never the marquee guy.
As far as being a lead, it really was just Twister, and I guess this.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, True Lies, he had a small part. Aliens, his part was small. Frailty, he wasn't really the main character in that either, and that was his
gone.
show.
Yeah. Weird Science, he's the older jerky brother. Yeah. So he's not usually in the driver's seat. So
but the thing that's good is
he's always
solid. An excellent character because you always remember him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and he's also another one. It's a shame that he's gone.
He's Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh,
like the drill instructor.
Yes.
Absolutely excellent performance.
Fantastic. You know, it's so funny. We're talking about him, and I was thinking about the other guy who I feel like he's done a little bit like a smidge more as far as lead roles, but still also in that supporting character is James Marsden, who's also like one of these guys who he's happy to just be like third, fourth bill. He doesn't really care. He's not he's not like ambitious in that way. No.
It's just
he could be. I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
He's got leading man looks.
But he doesn't really use it to his advantage, I don't think.
I don't even know if it's using it. I think he's using it in the way he wants to because I honestly, why else would he have been in that Hop movie?
That was shite.
I mean, good Lord.
I can't believe we sat through that.
Good Lord. That's like one of those types of movies where it's sort of like there's nothing else real. Like he's talking to his agent. There's nothing else. And an Easter movie. Is real? Are you sure?
With Russell Brand.
There's no openings for corpses in Law and Order?
There has to be. There has to be. But I mean, or the whole Michael Caine thing. No, I've not seen the movie, but I've seen the house that movie bought, and it is fantastic. But and you know, again, gone way too soon. Agreed. Bill Paxton is always just memorable and solid and wonderful. But to see him in that lead role, and I think he does a really good job here. I think he comes across as, in the beginning, he's kind of like this very cringy sort of extra guy. And then as the story goes on, there's this sequence. I don't want to give too much away because, again, I think this is a movie that people should just go into blindly. I think you get more out of it not knowing anything about it. But there's a sequence where he overhears something.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden he's like hulking up and he's gonna solve this whole situation.
That definitely made him like, I gotta prove myself.
Yeah. I don't want to be considered like this country bumpkin. So I think that was that was like an interesting part of his journey as the character. There's also something else that you're privy to, information a little bit later on with him and one of the other characters. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but that was also it was very revealing because even though he comes across as this goofy, like small town chief, he's also a man and he has flaws, and that's revealed.
Yeah.
And it gives him like this other dimension to his character.
Yeah.
So
he's not just a good old boy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's more to this guy than meets the eye. And I think that also feeds into the whole like noir analogy, because in noir you have
the good guy who gets tempted.
Exactly. Yeah. Who kind of walks that line. There's like that moral ambiguity, right? Yeah. So he's not bad like the Michael Beach character or the Billy Bob Thornton character, but he isn't a straight arrow either. There are gray areas to his character.
I mean, like you said, and that's what helps make this a noir.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Fred McMurray in Double Indemnity.
Double Indemnity, yeah.
He was a good guy in the beginning.
Yeah,
and that
all went
that
out
dame.
the window. Let's talk about the dame. Is it Cinda Williams? I don't know her, but she was good in this.
She was really good. And yeah, I feel like I may have seen her in other stuff, but no, she never really blew up or anything like that.
No, it seems like let's see. I mean, she's been in stuff, but nothing big. I don't see. Oh, her first movie was Mo Better Blues. That's interesting. Her second movie is One False Move.
Not much.
Oh, that's where I know her from. Her face did look familiar to me. Tales of the City. It was like this mini series on PBS that I watched. Yeah, I mean, it looks like she's consistently worked, but not in anything.
No marquee sort of stuff.
No marquee stuff nothing of.
Another character actor.
Possibly. It looks like she's done a lot of film work.
All right. But I mean, in this, I was completely convinced by her performance.
Yeah, she was good. I mean,
she definitely, and like she was always sort of like we said, towing the line or jumping across it back and forth.
Right.
You could tell she was friends with those people in the beginning.
Yes, and that was, I think that's another thing that makes that sequence even more kind of hard to watch, because it's like she basically Judas them, right? She sold them out.
She sold them out, yeah. And
although she makes up for it by closing that door.
Yeah, but even still, it's sort of like you're
still responsible.
You're as a viewer, you're sort of torn here, because it's like you kind of feel bad for her, but it's just like you made these choices.
Yeah. And you stuck with this guy who's a piece of shit, who continues to be and he was hitting her too. That's another thing. It's like, walk away. Have some self-respect here.
Or run away. Or
exactly.
I mean, just, hey, get the cops, get some help.
Exactly. And then again, later in the story, you were privy to something that's happened to her in the past, and you wonder about that as well. Did that also ultimately shape who she becomes? Because even the brother's like, oh yeah, she left this little podunk town to become an actress in Hollywood, but obviously fell in the wrong crowd with the wrong crowd. So she's another, I guess, casualty of this vicious circle that just keeps bringing bad things to everyone it touches. So yeah, I really like this movie. I'm sorry I didn't catch it in a cinema, although I don't know if I would have liked it then. I think I'm happy that I've watched it now, because I think all those things, and it bothered me a little, the superficiality of me as a viewer, like, oh, this music is just a little too much. There's too much, but you were right.
This is like absolute low budget 90s stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, with the music that you hear is honestly, you probably can, if you wanted to, you could probably get that for free, royalty free
on YouTube Music.
It had just like, for some reason around that time, anytime they wanted to show like a sad cop or something, they would play that sort of like fake guitar blues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my wife's dead. Yeah. That sort of thing. You've heard it in Lethal Weapon. You've heard it in probably a bunch of 90s stuff.
For sure.
It was prevalent here.
This it was a little too much to me.
Yeah, you could tell that whoever was in charge of the music, maybe the director just didn't really care at that point. It was just slap some music in there if you want.
And even the credits felt very like TV movie. It didn't feel like a big production, which obviously it wasn't, because these aren't big actors. I mean, Michael Beach is at the beginning of his career. Bill Paxton is sort of I mean, he'd done stuff, but he's still, again, not this big marquee guy.
Well, you know what? It was like, as I would probably say, over the course of like late 80s to 90s, opening credits and music and that really, people started really fine-tuning and polishing those things. Because there were a lot of films in the 80s and 90s where when the film started, you would just see like the characters walking around and you would see their names on the screen, and it would just be like right dead in the middle. There was like very little
finessing.
There was no art applied to it all. This was just like, here is information, consume this information. We're not going to make it fancy for you.
Right.
But then as time progressed, suddenly, we're now the text is sliding in from the left and the right, or it's angled in a weird way or something like that.
Or let's put our art director to use here.
Let's you're going to make that money. You're going to earn that money. You're not just going to just type it on the thing with some sort of the crappiest computer program on the planet. This was...
And some very generic font.
Yeah. So this was... This was that. This movie
this was
had
definitely a
this
movie
was
of
this
the
was in the
times.
early stages.
Yeah.
By the late 90s, 2000s,
there's more thought.
Opening credits, you were like, wow, this is some awesome opening credits.
Yeah, for sure.
And closing credits. Now we kind of, it's almost like it's disappointing when it's just a scroll at the end.
Yeah.
You want to see something with the credits.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was of its time.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
And probably when they made this film, it was just like, this isn't going to make a big box office splash. Well, this is going to be easy for when we translate it to television.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, we watched this on the TCM app, and one of the things that I love about that is the little backstory. Sometimes there's a host intro, sometimes there isn't. This... Again, like you mentioned before, Eddie Muller does like a little host intro and then like a little exit in interview as well. And
he was talking with the director.
He was talking with the director, and he was talking about the director was talking about how this went to a production company that basically was like straight to video, right? And it's almost like they had no faith in it, right? But one of the producers got it to like 3 different film festivals.
Yeah.
And because of the good press of those 3 film festivals, and one of those 3 film festivals, I guess, was attended by Roger Ebert, who at the time is just him and Siskel are like the definitive voice of
you wanted
film
those
reviews. Right, exactly. Yeah. You wanted those thumbs. Exactly. And I think that because all 3 reviews were so favorable, I think that this became sort of like critically acclaimed. I'd heard about it, but I'd never seen it.
I think it gave the other production studios faith that they would make their money up on the front, because the main producer was a direct-to-video producer.
Right.
And the studios that put it in theaters, they want that money from video, but they weren't going to get it because this other company had it, so they were hesitant to like give it a distribution deal.
Right.
But those reviews pushed it over the top.
Right.
Whether that worked out for them or not, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I heard good things about this film. I just didn't go running to the theater to see it. I wonder what 1991 me would have thought of this film.
I mean, I had just graduated high school. I probably wouldn't have cared about this movie. Unless somebody told me, there's this spectacular action or something.
So that's why I was saying before, like, I'm glad I've seen it now, because...
You appreciate it more.
Exactly. I appreciate it more. I think 1991 me would not have... I think I would have been more pissed off about, like, that music. And although, would I have really noticed? Because,
you probably wouldn't even notice, because it was
a product
you
of the
were
time.
Inundated by that all the time.
So, yeah.
That damn guitar.
Yeah. I wonder... I mean, sometimes, like, as we watch films, not newer releases, but when we watch things that came out in the past, I often wonder, like, especially if it's like a first viewing, like, I wonder what old me would have thought of this. It's funny because I am now a viewer with 50 plus years experience. So it's different. Things hit differently. And again, you have all that life experience too, because like.
Yeah. And you could see what the intention was
right
behind the actual story. Things that you wouldn't pick up when you were younger. It's like there's a reasoning for why these characters are doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
Like the whole Chekhov's gun thing. When you were a kid, you didn't really notice Chekhov's gun.
Right. No.
Everywhere. Now you're like, okay,
that makes sense.
That's going to come into play later on in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if the director is paying attention.
Exactly.
But yeah, you just totally notice that now, which sometimes messes things up for you.
Right.
Because you want to be surprised, but hey,
something's going to happen.
That guy's going in a wood chipper. Somebody's going to die in that wood chipper. There's no reason for a wood chipper to be like next to a schoolyard.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody's going in the wood chipper.
Exactly. As I was watching the film, I think that was one of my that was one of my takeaways is watching the film, and then the other one was like there is too much goddamn canned music in this thing. It was just driving me insane.
When we were in the 90s, we didn't care.
Yeah, we really didn't. We didn't. Although it's funny, it's not a ding, but did it feel like slow paced to you or no?
It was a slower paced movie, but that's kind of what it was like aping. Like I said, this is a noir movie, and noir movies, they're from a time like the high point of film noir was 50s, 40s, 50s. Yeah, the films were different back then. Pacing was different.
Absolutely.
Very rare. I mean, most films back then. There's a reason why young kids don't like black and white movies because it's not only is black and white, but the pacing's slower. Right. Occasionally, we'll come across one that they're just like, wow, that was actually pretty good, like Invisible Man.
Yes, which they loved.
You're just on a sleigh ride. It just begins and keeps going,
and it's so bonkers.
It's so bonkers, yeah. But this was sort of like that. I would say over time, yeah. I mean, the pacing of films now, back then, people would have been like, well, it's too quick. Yeah. There's too much going on. I'm confused. Yeah. But today, it's sort of like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't have to wait for much. They're doing exposition while they're running and fighting and having sex.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Yeah. What did you think of the two LA cops as characters?
Oh, they could have been anybody. They were just there to give the other characters something to react off of. Particularly Billy Bob, Billy Bob. Particularly Bill Paxton. They were just foils for him to react to.
Yeah, we have Detective Cole and we have Detective McFeely.
Yeah.
So I mean they weren't really it. And again, I think you mentioned this before. I mean, the movie starts with them, but they aren't really the main character here.
No, they're there in service of Dale.
Yeah, this is Dale's story.
Which is funny because in the film, Dale is there in service of them.
Yes.
But in reality, or in the as far as the makeup of the film goes, they're there in service of Dale.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
No. What would you give it?
I would give this an 8. I think that the script was strong. I thought the performances were good. Billy Bob is scary. Michael Beach is even scarier. Yeah. Cinda Williams as Fantasia / Lila. She is...
She toes that line between sympathetic and just you're a terrible person.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting because it's like you feel bad for her, but you don't feel bad for her, and then you feel bad for her again, and then you don't feel bad for her. So it's like this perpetual struggle to really get a handle on that character. But I think, again, like you had mentioned before, she's an adult. She's ultimately making these very poor choices, unfortunately. I love Bill Paxton. Again, it always hurts my heart because he was just such a remarkable actor. Taken too soon, absolutely. And again, he's not usually the marquee guy, so it's nice to see him be like the lead here and really get to shine. And he is completely believable from start to finish. Again, in the beginning, to me at least, he's this goofy, very extra guy who's kind of talking too much and then as the story progresses, that changes. He's different. I mean, he comes into some knowledge, whether he knew it before or didn't.
Well,
That's
I
also-
mean, in the beginning, this is just wow. This case is super exciting. This is like television.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
happening here.
and
in our
it's
small
happening
town.
here in our small. This is the biggest thing to happen in our small town.
Yeah.
And as the case progresses, certain aspects develop where it isn't this sort of show for him anymore.
Right.
It's becoming more personal.
Right. Exactly.
Which changes him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would give it a 7.
7. Okay. Definitely recommend.
I would recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Especially if you're a fan of film noir.
Film noir or just crime. I think this is a good crime. I think that all the elements there are really done well. Again, it's not the most perfect film, but
no, it's not visually stunning or anything like that.
Yeah, and again, the script
it's
isn't
just
like
it's just a solid story.
Yeah, really well done, really well acted. And that's it. I mean, I just, again, we caught it on the CCM app. It's going away, but it is to buy rent on Prime. If you can check it out, definitely recommend 1991's One False Move. And with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.